Alrighty, folks, we are back with more Echo. Joining, of course, is the wonderful Rowan.
Hello.
So, yes, we're going to play the end of Leo's route. So, yes, Rowan, what is Echo?
Echo is a fairy visual novel dating sim that is very, very gay, but also not really. It's also a psychological horror. Any mentions of Doki Doki Literature Club will have me probably banning you from the fucking Twitch. It is not like that in the slightest. It actually maintains its world and characters and uses the world itself to be scary. Trigger warnings for literally everything, but for Leo's route in particular, abusive relationships, gaslighting, psychosis, torture, homophobia.
Yeah. Oh,
Just everything.
This is our like
mutilation.
Yeah, we've done 3 characters full routes now. This is our 4th one. The writing is actually really fucking good. Despite the fact it looks like a furry dating sim, the writing and the understanding of different types of horror and all the routes has been really fucking good. Really fucking good. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. And we're gonna get...
Every character is a fuzzy animal person or a scaly animal person, but that doesn't really fucking matter.
Yep.
They're people.
This is also free on itch.io, as I have the page up as well, if anyone does want it. It's echoproject.itch.io.
I believe it is made by a total of 4 people, from what I remember. So it is a very tight project, very small team behind it. And I think in all of the hours we've been playing it, we've only come across like 5 typos.
Yeah, there's been a couple of weird ones in the last one. I think it was this one actually that had like the end of words were like, you know, the word rather than the word with es or y or something on the end. But apart from that, it's not really
like the suffixes, I think called.
There's been very few spelling mistakes.
I'm good at language, but I am not, and so I spend way too much time researching it. But I am not good at language.
So, what's the backstory? Where have we got to in this one?
So, Chase is an otter. He is originally from the small town of Echo.
I did not mean to do that. I meant to press the other button. Never mind. Carry on. Carry on. I'm just going to reload the game up.
Yep. So he is going back to Echo to do a school project with his friends, some of which had left Echo and are coming back with him as like a meetup, some of which are still there. One of the ones that's still there is Leo, his old boyfriend. They broke up due to things, namely the town itself. Chase kind of sees it as dead weight and a bad part of his past and history. Leo sees it as home and family. That's why you get the anchor bracelet being like the main symbol of the game. Where, you know, it's where you came from. It's its good and its bad parts. And also Echo is fucking haunted by ghosts and by other entities. Everything is going wrong with this fucking town. They also all have trauma regarding their friend Sydney, who died in the lake when he was like 10. He's long dead. No one's gotten over that fact yet. We have revealed in other routes that Chase was the one that killed him to protect TJ. TJ witnessing the death of his friend. It's all very fucked up. No one is doing okay. There's definitely something wrong with this town. It needs secrets. It has a reoccurring theme of murders happening, the murderer going unpunished and living with the guilt, and the cycle of the town repeating. So it's like this generational trauma of this horrible fucking place. In Leo's route in particular, we're slowly getting together back with him, but he is evidently trying to keep us away from the other friends in a weird gaslighty kind of overprotective sort of way. There was also a rather horrible scene where you find his computer where he watches porn, and there's like 3 holes punched in the drywall and several other cracks. And then we looked through his history, and it's just hundreds of searches of him trying to find porn of like gay male otters and wolves having sex. And it's very unsettling. Leo is not a good person.
So yes, we have, I think if I remember right, we are on Friday. Actually, no, we're on Saturday?
I think we just hit Saturday, didn't we?
Can I rewind? Well, that's interesting. We've managed to find an exception has occurred while running game code. I guess I got to quit the game real quick. I'm not having much luck with this loading thing today. Let's try again. When this loads back up, we will load the game back up. Yeah, there we go. So,
and I believe we established that if you had a persona, it would be a mastiff, didn't we?
yes.
Yeah. Mine, for any viewers watching, is a Canadian lynx by the name of Ice Storm. I am actually a fucking furry. Good lord, shoot me. I am the one asexual furry. It's very funny.
Either a mastiff or a St. Bernard, I think, would probably be my persona if I was to be replicated as such. Probably St. Bernard, actually, because I'm probably more furry.
What would you name your furry sona then?
I don't know. I'm useless with naming myself. Then again, it's because no one remembers my name, and I go by like 18 different names because no one remembers my fucking name. So I just go with, what do you think my name was? Yep, that'll do. And then this carries on unchanged for months.
Hello, person with a very fucking loud bike.
Alright. So,
Move away from my window.
Are you still doing Chase? Or are you still doing the monologue and I'm doing Chase's voice, or are you doing Chase and I'm doing the monologue? I can't remember.
I think I was mostly doing like side characters. I think there are more side characters from here on in.
Okay.
From what I remember. I can't see the game.
Oh, I forgot, because the game has closed itself. I will have to quickly reopen it in chat. 1 second. There you go.
There we are.
Got it now?
Because Twitch has a delay.
There you are. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. So we will carry on and we'll see where we get to.
Yep.
The warmth Leo left in the bed quickly has me drowsy again, and I'm about to drift off when something pokes me in the foot. I try to ignore it, but the thought of an insect of some kind has me reaching down to feel at it. It's hard and crackly, whatever it is. When I pull it up, I find it's a dead leaf. Sorry, dead leaf? Dried leaf. Frowning, I pull back the sheets, and there, clinging to the fabric and the fur on my feet, is dirt and leaves. Oh, that's 'cause he's just had the dirt and leaf dream, hasn't he?
Yeah, he had the dream where he was running through the desert and something was chasing him.
Saturday.
Final 2 days. Let's see how it all goes fucking wrong.
Leo wakes me up early the next day, telling me he has to settle some stuff with his dad at the shop. I don't get much of a chance to ask why or for how long he's out before he's out the door yelling something about food being in the fridge. I immediately fall back asleep though, and when I open my eyes again, it's 2 hours later. Leo texted me half an hour ago. Still at Pop Shop, but be back soon, I think. I swallowed back down the lump of dread in my throat as I remember the text messages. I don't want to confront him, not one bit, but I can't just let it sit. Something has to be said before I leave. I lay around for another 20 minutes before grabbing my phone to browse a bit. That's when I realised I hadn't charged it last night. My battery was just 25%. I groan and throw an arm over my eyes. 1 day left to do the project. I'm so far behind though that I'm not even feeling any anxiety about it at this point. Just resigned. I should have known better, really, that I wasn't going to get anything done with Leo around. I stare at the wall for a while longer before I force myself to sit up. No use lying around. I might not be making my best project, but it didn't mean I couldn't do a few things to make it less terrible. Food momentarily crosses my mind, but I shrug it off. I've never been a breakfast person anyway. As soon as I leave the house, I notice things are a bit off. Firstly, it's dead quiet. Usually there's some kind of drone, whether the wind or plane overhead, but there's usually something. No sound of birds either, and those were always chirping in the morning. I stand in the doorway for a bit, feeling a vague sense of tension, electricity in the air. Something building. I shake my head, feeling dizzy. That dream last night had fucked me up in all kinds of ways. I'm not surprising that it's probably still messing with me. I'll be glad to be gone from this place tomorrow. Some rustling next door draws my attention, and I see Kudzu carrying a set of clippers walking across the front yard. I open my mouth to say hi, but hold back, feeling self-conscious. His brooding nature was a bit intimidating, and I don't know if he's the kind of person who expects a greeting or not. I'm not left to wander long though, because he spots me almost immediately, raises a hand.
Morning.
Oh, hey there. He grunts before setting his attention on the bush in front of him, sizing it up. I stand there awkwardly for a bit longer, wondering if that's the end of our exchange, but he speaks up again.
Leo take off?
He nods his head at the empty driveway. Oh yeah, early this morning. I walk down from the porch and walk over to the edge of Leo's lawn so it doesn't feel like we're yelling at each other. Said something about having to take care of business with his dad.
I see.
Kitsu stops trimming and looks up at me before smiling.
You can come to on my lawn. It's not like I have an electric fence or something.
Looking down, I see that I'm towing the edge of his immaculate lawn on Leo's side, looking like a little kid. I blush before stepping over to crunch along the tan-covered gravel he had set out. It's weird how nice it is, especially compared to the shitty trailer setting in the middle of it all. If he had an Adobe-styled house, the place would be southwestern perfection. This all looks really nice. I guess gardening is your hobby?
Thanks.
Kitsu snips at the bush rather aggressively.
I like it. It's what I do most of the day.
The raccoon moves to the side of the bush, examining it.
It's peaceful.
He gives the bush another snip before resting a hand on his hip, where he lets clippers dangle on the other.
And it keeps you in shape.
I can't argue with that. Although he's skinny, his muscles show through the fur on his arms. He's probably the most in-shape guy I've seen in Echo. I realise I'm staring and quickly snap my eyes back to his, but he's already smirking. I worry he's about to point out that he's caught me, but instead gestures at my camera bag with his clippers.
Gonna do something for your project?
Yeah, I just need to get more film before I leave tomorrow. The slender raccoon wipes his forehead with a forearm.
Anything in particular?
I think. Not really, just old stuff to show the town's age. Katsu sticks clippers in the ground, looking up as he seems to think.
I know of a few things. You go to the old school?
Yeah, I was headed there actually.
And then there's the ruins next to the lake.
Yeah, I was going to wait for Leo to drive me there later today.
Other than that, there's an old rusted pump on the road. I don't know if that's actually from Echo's earlier days.
Couldn't hurt to look. Where is it exactly? Katsu points over my shoulder up the road.
Down past Duke's house, right before the convenience store. It's kind of hidden back in some brush, but I can take you there.
Oh, if it's no trouble.
It's fine. I got plenty of time to do this today.
Well, alright, thanks. I shift the bag on my shoulder and stand to the side as Katsu tosses the clippers beside the bush and starts walking towards the road. I follow him quietly, again feeling awkward under his no-nonsense attitude.
Sorry, I'm trying to fix the quality, because it's gone down to like 110 or something. It's pretty bad.
I would just check Steam's not deciding to download anything or anything. No, seems fine.
There we go. So, you and Leo getting along?
Yeah, we're having fun. My mind wanders back to the text messages and my stomach clenches.
Good. He's been looking forward to this week for a while now. Wouldn't shut up about it last week.
I'm somewhat surprised that it's Kutsu filling the silence between us. Not that I mind, he's pretty damn good at it for such a somber guy. I smile. Yeah, that's Leo. He really misses our old pack. Or does he? Kutsu huffs a laugh.
Wolves.
I agree. Wolves. As we walk, I can smell the heavy musk coming from the raccoon mingled with the scent neutralizer, evidence of a hard day's work. There's something special about hanging out with another musky creature. Makes you less self-conscious. So I know you hate Peyton, but don't you have to go back there for work?
Back in the day, had a job studying desert plants after college. Good times.
That would definitely put him a few steps above most everyone living in Echo, where a high school diploma is a rare thing.
I'm a clerk in the town hall, so no, I'm pretty much always here.
Always? Do you have a car?
Sold it after I came here.
Wow, don't you have to get out to the shop for food?
Sometimes. I grow and fish for what I can, and the convenience store has a surprisingly good produce section. But otherwise, Leo gives me rides once a week. Or once in a while.
Ah, gotcha. Again, I'm curious about what exactly happened in Peyton. Gonna be gone by tomorrow, and I don't find the question too intrusive, especially with all the information he's provided me so far. So I don't want to be nosy. I'll let the statement hang for a moment, and Kudzu turns his head towards me.
Then maybe you shouldn't ask.
That stops me short, and I almost stop walking. I feel my face get warm under the heat of the sun. I glance over at the raccoon, but his expression isn't accusatory or angry. It's just as neutral as it always is. It makes me wonder if this is just the raccoon's way of speaking. I already know how blunt he can be. I decide to trust what little I know about him and press forward. No? I ask it with the same straight face.
Well, you should always ask yourself if asking something nosy is a good idea. No reason to do it if it's going to piss someone off needlessly.
Ah. But before I can even consider it, Kudzu goes on.
Now, considering what you were just talking about, I could probably guess what you were going to ask.
I can feel the embarrassment returning. Yeah?
But before I answer, I have a question for you.
I shrink a little more into myself. Yeah?
Why do you care?
This question definitely catches me by surprise, and at first I wonder if it's just Kudzu's way of telling me to shut up. But again, after looking at his face, I decide to just tell him the truth. I clear my throat. Well, I like you. You're a cool guy. It comes out rather lamely, but it is the truth. He has a demeanour of not really giving a fuck about what others think of him. It's like Flynn, except Kudzu doesn't seem like he was putting up a front at all. On top of it, he'd stepped in a crowbar-wielding drug addict when stepped in to stop a crowbar-wielding drug addict when he saw his friend in danger. Kudzu laughs, genuinely. It's a bit startling.
That's really the reason?
I'm flustered again. Well, yeah?
Fair enough. And I like you too. Leo's mostly right about you.
What did Leo say about me?
A lot of things, but you can't really expect a wolf as love-smitten as he is not to exaggerate, can you?
No, I guess not. I step onto a peculiarly large rock and nearly lose my balance. Before I can even stumble through, Kudzu's grasping my arm tightly, stopping me from running into him. Whoa, sorry, and thanks. This raccoon has damn fast reflexes.
No problem.
I start to walk again, but Kudzu doesn't move. I stop and glance at him, but he's looking up at the road, not at me.
I lost someone in Pate.
It takes me a moment to realise what he's talking about, but then I do.
By a guy with a gun who didn't give a fuck.
I swallow and don't say anything, looking down at the ground.
Happened on the same street we lived on.
Of course, I had no idea what to say and wait for Kudzu to go on, but he doesn't. When I look up, I see he's looking right at me. I swallow. Yeah, that would make me want to move too.
Yeah, people, and there's less of them here.
I'm sorry. Kudzu just looks back at me.
Why?
I open my mouth, but before I can say anything, Kudzu smiles.
Kidding.
I let my breath out in relief and laugh a little. Oh. Well, should we keep going? I make as if to walk up the road again, but Kudzu doesn't follow. When I look back, he nods at the brush at the side of the road.
It's right here.
I wasn't expecting much, but I'm not disappointed as we come up from the pump. Mostly it's just a rusty piece of metal sticking out the ground. Kudzu seems a bit put off by how lame it is himself.
Smaller than I remember it being.
Nah, it's something. At least I'll get a few shots out of it. I start unpacking the camera from the bag, a bit reluctant to do something so insignificant. How did you find this thing, anyway? I look towards the road, which is basically hidden by the dense bush in front of me.
Needed to take a piss. I know my house is right there, but peeing outside is liberating.
Ah.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna go do that.
He pauses.
I can do it in front of the pump if you'd like, for effect.
I force a laugh, wondering if this is the first time I've heard the raccoon make a joke. At least I hope it's a joke. My laughing turns to a groan, though, when I see the battery level. First my phone, now this.
What's up?
Kudzu asks a bit deeper in the bush, facing away from me. My battery's low. Not gonna have enough for the school. I'll have to go back and grab a spare.
Oh, well, why don't you finish the footage for the pump while I run back and grab your other battery?
You sure?
Well, yeah, it'll be faster. I've been in his house a few times. Where's it at?
In a dock on the desk by his computer.
Alright, I'll be back.
And with that, Kudzu jogs off with the brush and back onto the road. Within a minute, I feel like I have all the footage I can get out of the pump. I sigh and rub my face, glad to at least be out of the sun, but annoyed that we've gotten so little footage for it. As I'm doing this, I hear what sounds like a gag behind me. I perk my ears and look back. I hear it again, but it's softer, more of a grunt this time. I'm almost positive that Kudzu didn't go that way, and I can't imagine what else it could be. Kudzu? I wonder if maybe the heat has gotten to him. I know how dangerous a heat stroke can be. Getting a little worried, I start moving further into the brush. Again, I hear a gag, and it's so much louder this time. Cud, you alright? I start pushing deeper with a bit more urgency, and not 20 yards in, I come into a clearing. The ground is covered in dead grass, and the sun hits me again with a vengeance. I blink furiously, eyes watering under the brightness of the clearing and a blazing red behind my eyelids. After a few seconds, I have to pry my eyes open. The first thing I notice is a peeling trailer to the right, pressing up into the trees. I have some vague memories of a trailer back here when a grumpy badger used to live. Straight in front of me is a meadow, as a dead tree, one with dry, narrow branches that twist up into the sky. The tree itself would be eerie enough, but it's what's under it that stops me dead. It takes me a moment to comprehend what I see. Hanging from the lowest branch of the body, long and thin, emaciated down to the skeleton. It remains rooted to the spot, my mouth hanging spot. I remain rooted to the spot, my mouth hanging open. Disgustingly, my mind immediately goes to the camera. I don't know why. Yeah, showing footage of a dead body to the whole class. Either I'd get an A for being edgy or fail for showing a fucking dead body. Probably expelled, actually. I feel my stomach starting to turn as I'm finally able to take my first step back. But then it moves. It's a quick jerk, one of those skeleton hands reaching up spasmodically to its neck before slumping back down. With my eyes fully adjusted to the sun now, I recognise the colour of the fur, the build of that skeleton-like body. Clint? On unsteady feet, I manage to stumble forward and reach out towards the ringtail, aiming to at least hold him up until I can shout Kudzu over for help. Somehow, though, he's able to spin and face me, his face an expression of mortified fury. His eyes are almost glowing with how bloodshot they are. His twisted muzzle is covered in drool, leaking down his chin onto his chest.
Get back. Leave.
What? Clint, what the hell are you doing? I move forward again, but Clint lashes out with a foot, hitting me in the knee. That's when I see his toes are touching the ground, at least barely. I stare in confusion, looking back to meet Clint's furious eyes.
Fucking leave.
Spit flies from his muzzle as I take a step back, completely lost for words. I don't... His bulging eyes move from mine and look over my shoulder, an enraged expression melts, eyes growing wider. Slowly I turn around and my vision is filled with a mountain of brown fur. My eyes take a moment to draw and focus on what, and when they do I realise I'm actually looking at a bear. A huge one, even for a bear. Huge, naked, carrying a long, thin branch, the bear stands in the direction I come from, grinning stupidly at me. Instinctively I widen my stance, eyes looking left and right. All reason is seemingly left the land of Echo. My brain is now trying to put the pieces of this crazy place back together. This crazy place together. I watch as the huge tongue sticks out from between the bulbary lips to lick at them, sliding slimly between the gaps of missing teeth. Once he's done with that, he breaks out into a grin again, those black lips shimmering under the sun.
Who's doing this voice?
I don't mind. Do you want to do it? Do you want me to do it?
You pick.
I'll just do it. What random voice will we go for this?
From what I know, he's got quite a high-pitched voice.
High-pitched? I don't have a high-pitched voice I can do.
If you want, I can do the index voice.
Sure, fuck it, if you're alright with that.
There's a friend cat.
The weirdly high-pitched voice is about startling as his size. I look back at Clint, who's still struggling to stand his toes, clutching at the rope now.
So hard finding a good switch back there, but now it's worth it if there's two of y'alls.
The squeak that comes out of my muzzle seems to perk the bear's stubby ears, and he licks his lips again as he eyes me up and down. I should get going. Sorry about seeing words fail me as the bear takes a step forward and I start sidestepping, preparing myself to make a run for it. The bear mimics my stance and my stomach drops as I see him take another step forward. I change my trajectory and back away instead. This time he doesn't follow me, he just grins as he watching me move back into the brush. Clint struggles at the end of his rope, twirling around lazily as he tries to get a foothold. I get one last look at his face and spins around, and I'm struck by the expression. For a moment I'm 9 years old again, running behind the buildings on Main Street, probably from imaginary foreign agents of some kind. When I hide behind the tree next to Clint's house, I hear the screen door open, and for several minutes I watch Clint's breathing deeply into a rag. I'm too young to understand, but for some reason I know it's not good. When I finally decide to run from my hiding spot, Clint looks up and we meet eyes. His are wide and wild, confused and hurt, just like now. I stumble into the brush, finally feeling like I'm far away enough to turn and really make a run for it.
Am I being stupid? I don't know what he's referring to.
I'm trying to think if it's... Unless it's some sort of like, no. I have no idea. I think I'm putting something together in my brain. It's like, it's this, but I'm like, what? We'll carry on, hopefully it explains something.
Yeah.
Cut to us standing next to the pump and I get back holding a battery.
What?
I grab his arm and yank him towards the road. Come on. I mutter under my breath before jogging down the road, Kudzu close behind looking over his shoulder. Not until the end of the road, turning onto Main Street, before I'm able to slow down and tell Kudzu what happened.
Holy shit, that's Brian.
Who? I'm still panting, sweating heavily in the heat after a short jog down the street.
Big ass bear that lives in the brush, right? He has a trailer in there.
I don't know him. Did he move here after I left? I thought a badger lived in that trailer.
I assume so. He was here when I got here.
Well, what the fuck was he doing? What the hell did I just see? My mind is still trying to process it.
I don't have the answer. Can't say I'm surprised though.
Are you serious? That's the most fucked up thing I've ever seen. Kudzu smirks.
Well, I guess I would have had to have been there. I would have had...
We're falling over words a lot today.
I don't know how to say this. Well, I guess I would have had to have been there, huh?
I stare at him. Yeah, I guess.
But from what I know of Brian, he's dumb and violent. Pretty sure he came here because he was causing too much trouble in Peyton.
It's Clint this fucked up part. He's a fucking homophobe and he's doing that shit?
I don't know much about Clint either. What I do know is that Brian is his dealer.
Really?
Well, really the entire town's dealer.
It made me sense that Clint would need one on Neko, considering he was banned for life from driving after getting like 3 DUIs. I thought Jeremy did that. Carl told me that's where he gets his weed. Kudzu shrugs again.
I assume Clint is using more than just marijuana.
Huh. It's becoming clearer what kind of relationship Clint and the bear have. I shudder, just wishing I hadn't had to witness it. I already feel bad for Clint though. But now, Kudzu holds up the battery still in his hand.
Want to move to the school?
Yeah, let's do that. The next hour is pretty uneventful, though I do get enough footage to the point I'm satisfied. There's a point where I'd noticed Duke down the road. He stands there for a while watching us and I'm getting different angles of the school. It's annoying, but even though he's a complete fuck up, he likes to pretend he's in control of things like Neko. Probably just promoted himself to sheriff of the town in his mind or something. I ignore him though. The next time I look up, he's gone. I turn my attention back to the project, finally able to calculate how much work I actually have left. Now most of the work is going to have to happen the night before the due date. I swallow, stomach churning at the thought. On the bright side, all of the stress is pushing the memory of Clint being hanged and whipped out of my mind. Later on, I finally get another text from Leo just before my phone dies. Heading back. I'm hungry, we should meet at the diner. Sure. I invite Kudzu to come along, but he tells me he can't stand diner food and he was going to go fishing anyway. It's too bad because I've been really enjoying the raccoon's company and fishing sounds relaxing. I tried to exchange numbers with the raccoon, but my screen dies the moment I turn it on. Kudzu takes my number though and promises to text me. I'm feeling better walking to the diner, but then I remember what happened with Leo. what I might have to do. Should I bring it up now? I don't even know where I'll end up going. Could I even trust him again? Leo's not in the diner when I get there. I pick the booth towards the back, resting my head against the patchy cushions and closing my eyes. The week's gone by so fast. Feels like only yesterday that we actually got here. Thinking back, I remember worrying that everything was going to be awkward, that our past would catch up in the worst way possible. And it kinda did. We didn't fix or talk about anything. That gives me a jolt of realization and sadness. This whole time I've been preoccupied with Leo and Leo with me. Wasn't Leo the one that was all concerned about us not keeping the pack together? This send-off feels empty and pointless. It's really the last time I might get to hang out with some of them, mainly Jenna and TJ. And TJ had the most shit to air out, but did I fuck up by basically ignoring him the whole time? I feel a lump in my throat as I think about the hike that never went on with him. Sure, I'd figured things out with Leo, at least temporarily. Very temporarily, actually. Already things are in jeopardy again. But now it feels like things I should have talked about with the others have been buried forever. Buried further. Even though I hadn't seen the others in a few days, I can still feel the resentment knowing Leo and I got what we wanted. Or at least, I thought I got what I wanted. Especially after leaving them to deal with the fallout of Flynn's meltdown. And now, because of that, it's harder to reach the root of the problem, harder to talk about it. Because of that, we probably never will. I glance at my dead phone, reminder of the complete lack of text from anyone other than Leo. I suppose this is life. Sometimes things are buried and never talked about again. And in another way, I guess that's for the best. Sydney's death will die with us. It just sucks that we all carry it, that we can't rely on each other for support. Take a deep breath, wondering how long it will take me to process this whole trip. Or maybe my entire life up to this point. As at this point I notice Janice hasn't come up to take my order. The diner itself is completely quiet, no old rockabilly coming over the staticky speakers. I look around, wondering if maybe the place is closed. I remember a few businesses didn't lock their doors. Mostly because of the negligent employees, because burglary is somewhat common here. I look through the plastic window and the swinging door to the kitchen past the counter and notice that the fluorescent lights are definitely on. In fact, it looks like I can see movement from the shadows on the wall. I think about getting up and knocking on the door and let them know I'm here, but that's when the front door pushes open. Leo comes in, a big grin on his face. Chula? My stomach twists as he swoops up to my side, and I can't help but jerk it away when he kisses at my cheek. He pulls back, frowning.
Spanish with a West Country accent is definitely a new fear of mine.
Chase? I sigh, not able to meet his eyes. Leo, I need to talk to you about something. Immediately I can see the worry in his eyes. He steps back, watching me. What? Sit down. Why? Leo asks, but sits down anyway. First off, I have to tell him that I looked at his fucking phone. That's bad enough. I look to the right, heart pounding. Or what is it? His voice is soft, but I can hear the slight tremble in it. Leo, I looked at your phone. What? I jump as Leo's hackles rise and he bares his teeth. It's not an angry reaction, more defensive, fearful. Leo, why the fuck would you do that? I shrink back, looking down as I listen to his breathing pick up. I'm sorry, but you know what I saw. Fuck, man. Leo puts his face in his hand, which gives me an opportunity to look up. His ears are down, dripping towards the table. Why did you do that? I wait until Leo continues to hide his face. I wait while Leo continues to hide his face, his body rocking. Not now. Not now what? You can't do this to me. Not after. I didn't do anything. You're the one who's texting people that I don't give a fuck about them. His head snaps up then and I can see his eyes glistening. I didn't say that. I just said you were busy. And what you said to TJ. Leo winces at that one, slumps back in his booth, face dejected, desperate. Please, Chase, just try to understand. What? I let some anger in my voice, wanting to show Leo that I'm not going to forgive him just because he's sad. I think he realises that because his face changes, lips barred out of anger this time. Yeah, I'm really fucking guilty, aren't I? Yeah, you are. Says the asshole who ditches me, avoids me and won't talk to me. I didn't say anything in response. And you wonder why I'm fucked up about this. You're the one who walked out and left me. I was young. Yeah, you keep saying that like you're not young now. If you'd actually dumped me, then maybe I wouldn't be this fucking messed up about it, would I? The last sentence escalates into a scream and I flatten back into the booth, glaring up at him. Leo never hurt me before. I'm not afraid he will now. But I've endured plenty of his tantrums. Do you know how crazy this makes you look? Oh great, you too. I'm serious. This is fucking unacceptable. I'm drawing the line here. Leo's snarling face turns up, and that's when I see movement behind me. Sorry, that's when I hear movement behind me. I turn on my seat and see Janice striding out from behind the counter, the kitchen door swinging shut behind her. Janice? Leo's fur flattens back down like he's forgotten all about our argument. It makes sense why. Something's wrong. Janice has been acting strange all week, gradually looking more haggard and pissed off as time went on. Of course, I hadn't forgotten about what happened on the side of the road just a few days back, but I'd been content with just assuming it had been some kind of drug-fueled adventure of hers. Now I'm convinced she's having a mental breakdown. Her fur is mussed up every inch of her body, her eyes are wide and wild, similar to how I'd seen Clint earlier. Blood is smeared across her apron and her handle of a knife sticks out of her front pocket. Janice, are you okay? Leo's half standing. I'm not sure it's because he's afraid of her afraid for her or of her. She doesn't say anything and she just sidles next to our booth and I slide a bit towards the inside. Under her wild gaze and feeling a little trapped. Janice?
Why all the shouting? Little impatient? Well, let me take your order and I'll get you all settled.
Are you okay? Are you cooking? Leo gazes at her apron.
Yeah, I'm cooking today. What can I make you?
Get the unnerving feeling she isn't even looking at us. Leo glances back at me before I respond with a bewildered look of my own. You know, I think we might...
Nonsense, I got everything fired up in the kitchen.
Leo doesn't respond, just stares at the big coyote. Janice smiles crookedly.
Well, if you're not gonna order something, then I'll just make your favourite.
With that, she turns to... 2 seconds, folks. Back in a moment.
Oh.
Alrighty, folks, we're back. Apologies for that. Just have to make sure my mic is still working because the cat decided to try and take that out while I was away. And it seems working fine. Good. You can probably hear him in the background. On the stream, at least.
I haven't yet.
Oh, he's got a very loud purr. But yes, apologies for that. I had shopping that was supposed to arrive between 5 and 7, which only turned up now at half 7, so helpful. So where were we? Oh yes, Janice.
We were having a horrible conversation with a psychotic coyote. Well, if you're not gonna order something, then I'll just make you a favourite.
With that, she turns and starts waddling off. I've not even acknowledged me. What the fuck? I reach into my pocket, thinking about calling the ambulance for the poor woman until I remember my dead phone. I whisper over to Leo. Should we leave? Maybe. But Leo doesn't move, he just stares after Janice. I look out the window at the sun-baked road. Sorry, I'm just dealing with a cat that wants to move. Have you noticed something's off about Janice? No shit. Not just her, the whole town. Think about mentioning the meadow with Clint and Brian, but I'm still trying to absorb that myself. Leo sits back, still holding the kitchen door where Janice disappeared. Still looking at the kitchen door where Janice disappeared. Honestly, people act so crazy here. I don't know if it's because of the drugs or because they're actually crazy. I see his nose twitch. And I don't think she knows how to cook. Something smells funny in there. I look back out the window, wondering if I should bring up our argument again. A scene with Janice is totally throwing me off and I'm reluctant to waste any more energy at yelling. Has to be brought up again somehow. We can't just let this sit. It's clear this is exactly what Leo wants though, so I'm in a huff and stare out the window. This fucking town. I haven't been paying much attention to it in the past few days, being too infatuated with Leo. Sure, I'd seen some weird things, but in my absence everyone's gone to the fucking wacky shack. I look at Leo. Have you been noticing any of this weird shit going on? Leo sighs. Again, I never know never know what's weird and not here. I guess I've noticed a few things. I frown. Were you just hoping I wouldn't notice? Leo doesn't say anything, instead he just goes on staring at the kitchen. Would he really just let me blindly move to this town where he knew everyone was going crazy? Looking out the window, I notice a figure moving up the street, jogging. A feline. TJ? Is that Teach? Leo glances out the window. Looks like it. Out for a jog, of course. Wolf turns attention back to the counter as Janice comes out, messily dribbling milkshakes in her hand. Hey Janice, what are you cooking back there? I glance at the crazy coyote as she wobbles over to us, staring at the milkshake with wide eyes.
Oh, you know, meat.
Leo lets out a hollow laugh. What kind of meat?
I'll be honest with you, it's a bit tough and stringy.
I lose interest in our conversation, instead look back out at TJ. I feel like something's off for sure. He's a ways away, looking kind of afraid. One of his hands reaches out to bat at something. Something's wrong. I mutter under my breath and start to stand, sit on getting out there to see what's wrong with him. But that moment, a truck pulls into the parking lot right in front of our window. I found myself staring right at Duke. I also see something big in the back of his pickup, a brown, furrowed head peeking over the roof. Duke? Leo snaps his head over to look out the window. As the weasel gets out the truck, I see something in his hand. A gun. Shit.
Language, Leo.
He's bringing in a gun. Leo reached across the table for me.
Not while I'm here.
Janice. She's already striding over to the doors as his Duke pushes through them. Chase, get down. But Duke spots us immediately.
I told you not to fucking run away from me.
He starts towards our table, but Janice on her way towards the kitchen intercepts him.
Duke, is that a gun? I'm not gonna have you barging in here to ruin the peace.
She sticks her bulky body in his way.
Get the fuck out of my way, cunt. Language.
It's as if Janice doesn't notice he's got a fucking gun waving around right next to her face. I reach out and grab Leo's arm, trying to pull him down. Call the police, my phone's dead. Leo slowly sits, then looks around. The only exits at the front were trapped.
You don't think those fuckers are behind all of this? You've been seeing that otter around too, haven't you? I'm not concerned with that anymore. I've made things right. You're not fucking concerned that what happened to our grandparents is happening to us? I won't ask you to leave again.
Her voice is threatening. From this angle, I can't see her hands, but I can see she's reaching for something. Oh my god. Chase, get down. Leo's voice is bizarrely calm as he reaches over to me. I can feel him shake. He presses down on my shoulders as I'm about to slide under the table. I see Janice move forward, then I cover my head, cower against the booth under the table. Leo shouts and yanks me under his side, covering me with his arms. I hear him breathe heavily into my ear, then I stare wide-eyed from under the booth, only able to see the dirt beige wall opposite us. Leo's breathing is all I can hear, otherwise it's silent. Then I hear Duke muttering something under his breath, followed by soft padding footsteps. A few seconds later, his legs come into view as his feet turn into faces. I see the gun dangling from one hand before he raises it, slightly pointing at us. I close my eyes. How did this happen? Just seconds ago, Lee and I were arguing about how, and now I'm going to fucking die. I keep my eyes tightly closed, hugging to Leo as hard as I can and wait, but nothing happens. I keep my face pressed into Leo's chest, though I'm wondering if I'm already dead. Finally, Duke speaks.
Leo, out. Otter, you stay there.
I feel Leo hesitate against me. Then his lips press against my ear. It'll be okay, baby. Just stay here. Slowly he untangles his arms from around... my arms from around him. Then his hands up. He pushes out from under the table and stands up.
Face the wall.
Leo hesitates and Duke growls.
I ain't gonna fucking kill you. We're just figuring out what's happening, Zog. Killing you don't fix anything. The last guy got killed and that didn't fix shit.
You shot Janice!
Cause she got in my fucking way. But it doesn't matter, everything's fucked up now.
Leo turns to face the wall slowly. I watch from the space between the table and the booth. What do you want?
To fix this fucking town. You're starting something with this otter. This all happened before.
Joe looks out the window and makes a come on motion with his hand.
We're gonna stop it from happening this time.
Leo looks to the left. But you fucking killed Janice! I hear the wolf's voice break slightly.
Won't matter in the long run.
The doors rattle as someone comes in.
You got the zip ties? Hands behind your back, Leo.
Leo looks at whoever just came in. Come on.
Now!
Slowly Leo does as he's told and I see a pair of massive paws reach forward to bind the wolf's wrists. I swallow hard to watch Brian pull the zip tie tight. Duke pulls a forearm to his nose.
Fuck, you stink. Hope we didn't kill that ringtail. We could use him.
Brian just grins in response, his teeth yellow. My heart sinks about Clint. My heart sinks as I think about Clint. Had he been a warning me to run? Why had I thought of him hanging the tree like that was probably just a normal thing for him and the bear? Was he a victim of whatever crazy had just hit the town? It must have been what was going on. All of this is just hitting at once. It can't be a coincidence. Clint was probably just as scared as I am now.
Grab the otter and... Oh, sorry. Grab the otter and tie him up too.
It's Duke, not the bear.
Oh, yeah, it's Duke. Their fucking colours are similar from what I remember.
Yeah.
Grab the otter and tie him up too. Just stick him in the trailer for now.
My stomach drops. Duke gestures with his gun again.
Come on out.
My legs are lead. I can't move. Leo looks over his shoulder at me and fear in his eyes scares me even more. His muzzle moves, mouthing something. Run. But still I can't move. I've never been so scared in my life. It's like everything is numb. Brian doesn't care though, and moves forward at the look on his face eager. The gun goes off again. Everyone including Brian jumps and I hit the floor with my hands over my head.
Fuck!
I look up and see Duke, eyes extra wide, dancing around, pointing the gun upwards at the ceiling.
Fuck, you see that? She's crawling around up there. I told you she's on my ceiling every night watching me.
Brian looking up too, and the first time is twisted like an expression that isn't stupidly grinning. It's full of fear. But then I look back up and see nothing. Chase. Leo hisses at me and that jolts me back to reality. Without even willing myself to do it, I shoot out from under the table. In front of me are two exits, the front door and the kitchen door, which is closer. There has to be an exit in the kitchen, but I'm not sure of that. My legs are already making me run though. I have to choose now.
Might want to save.
Let's do that one. Number 6. Right. I assume the kitchen door will lead to more horror. Is this actually a pivotal point, or is this just a flavor choice?
You choose.
I think the kitchen door will lead to more horror that's going on back there and probably a no exit. The front doors will probably be an actual exit, so we're going to take the kitchen door. I have no idea how long Joe could be distracted, so I dive behind the counter for my closest exit. Don't look back, Jace. Just run as fast as you can.
Shit, he's getting away, Brian.
I push past the swinging door and immediately slip. One moment I'm standing and the next I'm laying by the ground, face stinging in the smack on the tile. I stare blearily at the ground, forcing myself to move again, but it's so slippery. At first I think the tiles are just red, but then the overpowering metallic scent hits my nose. I realise more than that. Blood is everywhere, and now I'm covered in it. I sob, wondering what nightmare wondering when the nightmare I'm in is gonna end. The paralysis will hit me.
Fuck, get her off me.
I force myself to move because I need to get the fuck out of here, dream or not. I slip and slide along the tile, trying to stand, almost falling. I manage to grab the metal counter and yank myself up, and then I'm standing over the counter and over what's on top of it. A pile of meat. I can see the fur. It's a mound of unrecognisable parts. butchered. Something cooks on the stove. My stomach churns and I heave, but there's nothing in me to come up. A bang behind me forces me to turn to my right. I see the mountainous form of Brian charge to the door. He slips immediately, but his momentum still takes him forward and he reaches out for me. Next thing I know is I've been hit by a car and I'm flying back. I stop short of hitting the ground thanks to the wall behind me and my head explodes. The darkness that surrounds me is painful. I feel like I'm floating in the black sea of nothing, and nothing about it is comforting or peaceful. It's like a fitful doze when you have a really bad fever. It feels awful and murky and sick. I feel my head tilt back and a lightning bolt arcs through my neck. Through my head. I try to open my eyes, but I only manage to flutter and I see flashes of red above me. Something is hooked under my back and I'm dangling from it. I imagine a rope tied around me, holding me above the dark abyss below. Is this hell? I grit my teeth as the searing red becomes too much to look at and I close my eyes again. This must be a nightmare, one that feels too real. I've had them before, and I know how to deal with them. Just need to go back to sleep, to drift off, and I'll wake back up in my bed. Go back to sleep and wake back up in my dorm. Wait, an echo? I try to think. I try to prod back into my memories. Where was I last? What was the last thing I remember doing? Trying to remember it's monumental. More than I can handle, unfortunately, I drift back into unconsciousness. I'm pulled back into the sickly dark as something jolts my body. I grimace and gasp. I'm filled with such a feeling of unprovoked loneliness and despair that I actually feel my eyes watering and the sob escapes my mouth. I hear a soft chuckle above me and go quiet. I still don't know where I am and what's going on at all, but that laugh is enough to tell me that I don't want to be where I am. The feeling of hanging from a rope is gone now. Instead I'm lying on something flat and hard. My arms and legs are spread out. The air is cool now and my skin cold and wet, like I've been sweating a lot. The feeling is especially strong along my back and I want to roll over, but I can't. Something is holding my arms down and there's a rattling sound when I try and move. I moan and try to open my eyes again, though it's almost like they're glued shut. With a little more effort I manage to crack one open. At first all I see is a blur of colours above me. I have to blink a few times to clear it. Slowly the image comes together and I'm able to make out that someone is there above me. I feel my blood run cold, realising that someone has been watching me this whole time. But I'm lying down. How is someone on the ceiling? I try to speak, but only a dry, cackling squeak comes out of my throat. At this point my vision is cleared enough to make out an otter. An otter? I squint. A blue shirt, beige pants. I gasp and reflexively draw back from the thing. Is it me? It smiles. It's missing my goatee. How? The flat surface I'm lying on tilts precariously and my stomach lurches. I try to clutch at the surface, though there's nothing to grab onto. I shut my eyes and gag as feel my stomach swirling around inside me. All I can do is pray for it to stop, feeling like everything around me is about to fall over. The ache in my head is magnified tenfold and tears start to leak from my eyes. Just when I start to think I'm about to slip off the face of the earth, the ground starts to tilt back the other way. I swallow and gasp for air, my entire body shaking and sweating all over again. I feel like I've been swimming too long, my body is exhausted. What the hell is going on? I remember that someone was staring down at me from the ceiling, and I open my eyes again, fearful. I cringe as I see the same otter staring down at me, the otter that's clearly wearing the same clothes I am. But now it's not smiling. A tear-stained expression on its face. It's a mirror. A mirror on the ceiling. I try to sit up, but come up short, gagging as something tightens around my neck. I try to move my hands to whatever it is that doesn't work either. There's some rattling sound I heard earlier makes me look towards my right hand and see what makes my blood freeze. Around my waist looks like a leather strap. I desperately look to my other hand and find the same result. Looking at my feet, I see the same contraption is fixed to my ankles. When I try to lift one of my feet, I see metal glinting from underneath, making me think that the leather is bolted to the platform. Panic rises up in my chest and I kick my feet, trying to flail my hands, but the straps hold firm into what looks like wooden planks, which is the platform that I'm laying on.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am?
Look at the stream and look how his hands are held.
by the two cats.
Yes. Sorry, I just had to mention that looks hilarious.
Oh dear. They're arranged in a way to leave me spread
It
eagle.
kind of works as well, considering it's a fucking BDSM rig and it's furries.
Off the leather I can smell all kinds of musk, but the strongest one reminds me of Clint. I try to lift up my head, but the thing around my throat is too tight and instantly makes me choke again. My head throbs. Tears start to fall in my eyes again. I try to think back. Where the fuck am I? Is this a prank of some kind? Maybe my friends at the dorm are trying to scare me. Had I been drinking at the party? No, wait, I'm an Echo. It's the last place I remember being. I'm here for a project, and I've been with my old friends. I was with Leo, and I'd been at the diner. Suddenly all the horrible things that had happened that day come rushing back. Janice, Clint, Brian, the gun. Oh my god. Had that really happened? I struggle a bit more than try to think. I'd run to Leo's house. Leo, I don't know what happened to him. I left him with Duke. And then Brian. He'd been chasing me and tried to break in. I started to breathe heavily again as I realised where I might be. Brian got me when I was trying to run and hide. He just fucking attacked me. I look around. I'm in a small room that looks like a living room of some kind. There's a couch to my right and a wall with a clock on it to my left ticking away. There's windows too, along with ticking. The wind blowing outside is the only other sound I can hear. Looking down towards my legs, I can see what looks like a tiny kitchen and some cupboards on the countertop. Dishes and junk are piled high along the length of the counter. It smells like cigarette smoke. Judging by the layout and size of the place, it looks like I'm in a trailer home. A small moan of terror escapes my lips. I'm in Brian's house. I remember Cud telling me that he'd lived in one. Tears start leaking out of my eyes again, even though the crying is making my head throb all over again. All I could think about is what he was doing to Clint. No, I have to calm down. I don't want to attract any attention if he's actually nearby. After what happened in the diner, the cops have to be on their way, if they aren't already here. People eat in the diner all the time. Someone, one of my friends probably, would find it and call someone. I just have to wait until they find me. I swallow again, feeling my body break out in the cold sweat all over again. What is going on? They wanted something from us, I remember that at least. But what? Duke had been saying something about saying things and that we might be responsible. I squeeze my eyes shut and shake my head, but then immediately stop when my head throbs from the movement. None of this makes any sense at all. Am I still dreaming? At that moment I hear soft mumbling in the distance through thin walls of the trailer. I freeze and hold my breath. It's a little ways off, but I'm almost positive that it's Duke. The high, weaselly whine makes the occasional smoker's cough as unmistakable. Mixed with the occasional smoker's cough as unmistakable. It's coming closer and I can start to make out what he's saying. Rowan? Hang on. Have I lost Rowan? Rowan's muted. Okay, well. We'll just wait a moment till Rowan is back. Means I can actually eat my my thing for a moment without having to worry about the crunching sounds. Rowan, are you there, Rowan?
Apparently, Toke played Rosetta Stone for the first time since 2009 this week.
Yeah. Where is Rowan? We'll give Rowan another like 30 seconds. If they're not back, then I'll just I'll carry on for a little bit. But yeah, so just hopefully we'll get Rowan back soon. Eat the remaining 2 of my biscuits while I wait for them. Alright, well, since we've not got a Rowan, I guess I will carry on and I'll do Duke's voice for now. And see where we get to.
Because we already fucked here, you think we could just let him go and it'll all be fine?
I don't know who he's talking to, but the sound of an accompanying heavy lumbering step gives me an idea.
It's worth it though. We can figure out what the fuck's going on.
Sounds like they're right up against the trailer now. I could hear them walking around towards the small door on the right side of the kitchen.
Leo ain't saying shit yet, but I think it might be the other. He's the one I seen last week.
The footsteps stop at the front of the door and I listen hard, my heart pounding in my chest.
I hope you haven't done anything to him.
I didn't. Brian's uncharacteristically high-pitched voice sends a chill up my spine, my fur flattening out with it.
You bet your ass you haven't. If you do anything, and if you fucked up shit to him.
I stop breathing, staring my terrified expression in the mirror.
What I'm saying is we still got a chance to get out of this. What we've done is bad enough, but if we can get him to understand.
They stop talking and that's when I see Brian's heavy laboured breathing. Sorry, now I can hear Brian's heavy laboured breathing. I'm not breathing at all, worried that they'll be able to hear it even though they already know I'm here. I let out with a gasp as the door suddenly swings open and Duke steps up the steps looking around before spotting me.
Brian, you're one sick fuck.
I tense up as a massive shadow appears behind him and I feel the entire trailer tips a bit as Brian makes his way up the same steps. Brian's presence is imposing and frightening and I don't even notice that Duke is now right next to me. I jump when he sets his hand on my left arm. I jerk my hand and look at him wide-eyed.
Hey, calm down. We ain't gonna hurt you.
Brian chuckles
Sorry about that.
It's alright.
I went to the toilet and also got myself a hot chocolate and didn't realise.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll just carry on when Duke's next speaking. So you've just... Where did you last see to? And I'll just catch you back up where we are.
You were in Duke's trailer and you were tied to the BDSM ring and I think they came in.
Yeah.
Or just about
Basically
to.
came in, they said Leo ain't saying anything. And they don't want to hurt the otter yet. Basically.
Okay.
Brian chuckles and Duke shoots him a look. He turns attention back to me, softening his expression at least as much as he can with his scraggly, drug-fucked face.
We just need to get some information from you.
I open my mouth to speak, but all that comes out is a dry squeak. Brian chuckles again and makes his way to stand to my right. I cringe away from him in the stench of old sweat as he grins down at me with his yellow teeth.
Brian, get some fucking water.
Brian looks at Duke with a strange face before turning back to the kitchen.
Hey, don't worry about him. I know this thing
Duke taps one of the boards with a finger.
looks bad, but we just gotta hold you here for a bit.
He's a queer. He likes it.
Duke glares at him as Brian comes back from the kitchen with a ceramic mug.
You're a queer. I was like, you're a queer too. Their colours are too similar.
Yeah. Brian visibly bristles and his face loses any kind of sick humour it once had. Duke clears his throat.
Things have been happening here. We want to find out why.
What? Duke furrows his brow like a kid trying to figure out something difficult.
You see, people ain't right in the head here.
No shit. Duke seems to immediately read my thought process when he holds up his hand and shakes his head.
Yeah, I know. What we're doing ain't exactly right in the head either.
Brian gives a dumb chuckle again, but I feel my face averted from him, partly because I can't stand the smell.
We're all a little fucked up here. What I'm talking about is something else, like what you saw with Janice.
I shift a little as I'm reminded of what happens in the diner. Is she dead? Chuck looks genuinely sad.
I don't know. It's a damn shame. But you saw the way she came at me, that thing I'm talking about.
I look at the Weasel's waistband and immediately see the handgun tucked in his pants there.
And I was hoping to stop it before any of this happened, but now...
Everything's gone to shit.
Brian finishes it for him. I can feel him move closer to the platform I'm laying on. Again, I avoid eye contact, not wanting to provoke him in any way.
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse.
Duke just looks at me. That's all the information that I need. I don't know.
Hello, person with a tiny penis. Please take your car away from me, thank you. Yep, bugger off.
I don't know what you're talking about. I see a twitch of irritation in Duke's face and I hold my breath. I mean, what's happening out there? Duke shakes his head.
What's happening everywhere? It wasn't just Janice that lost her mind.
Duke looks back at the window suddenly, his fur standing on end. I look too, but all I see are leaves and branches in the late afternoon sun filtering through them. Duke's quiet for a while before he starts speaking again without turning around.
It happened to my granddad, my daddy, and now it's happening to me.
I close my eyes, wondering if Duke's just as crazy as Janice was. If he does, I doubt he even has a clue what he's doing right now.
Chase, you were doing an actual fucking project on the mass hysteria of the town.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck does he not
Personality of
know?
a rock.
Absolutely. Brain span of whatever was like had his attention last. Nothing going on up there. Smooth brain, no crinkles. Dale's missing. Cynthia drove off into the desert.
Duke turns around and looks back at me.
We saw your cat friend running down the street on the way here, saying someone was after him.
TJ?
Thing is, we've all got something after us. Something bad. We'll let you leave when it starts.
What's after you?
That would have been Ginny.
I flinch as Brian speaks just above me, leaning down towards my face. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Bullshit.
I flinch again as Duke's concerned demeanour immediately drops away.
Why do you think we came to get Leo and you?
He pauses. He pauses, like I should actually know the answer. I feel myself starting to panic again with these two crazy hillbillies looming over my body. I don't know what... Duke slaps me and I gasp in shock.
I saw you hanging around this fucking town before you even got here. Late at night, lurking around.
I'm still cringing from the slap. I keep my eyes closed and as if I'm not seeing any of this to make it go away. Oops. Sorry. I'm still I'm still cringing from the slap. I keep my eyes closed, as if not seeing any of this is going to make it go. It's going to make it stop.
And then once your friends get here, all hell breaks loose. You think that's a fucking coincidence?
It's quiet for a moment, and all I can hear is the rush of blood in my ears. Is this really happening? I feel Duke touch my arm again and flinch in fear.
Hey.
I feel like he wants me to look at him, but I slowly open my eyes, tears spilling out as I do. The blurry shape of Duke dances in front of me.
I'm not saying you did it, or that you wanted it to happen.
I don't say anything because I still don't know what the fuck he's talking about, but I know I can't tell him that.
It's just that you gotta know something, anything, so we can stop this.
Duke starts to pet my arm and I shiver. Brian is breathing heavily next to me and I glance at him. A glance at him shows his expression is more interested now, almost eager. Duke still hasn't answered my question. It makes no sense to go so far as to kidnap us. But why didn't you just ask us? Why all of this? With my hands weakly, making my platform rattle, Duke's face darkens.
Because I've been asking Leo all week what the fuck you guys are doing, and he wouldn't say shit.
Duke stops pecking his arm. Duke stops petting my arm and scratches behind his head.
And someone told me that you would know.
I stare at him. What? Who?
Someone I know, and it makes sense. Something bad happens and you don't fix it. It won't stop coming after you.
I shut my eyes and almost sob.
Says they know, and I thought it would be Leah or you, considering that's what I've been seeing these past few weeks.
Duke pauses.
Or maybe one of your other friends.
My mind briefly flashes to TJ. I don't know what you're talking about. I wait for another slap, but it doesn't come. I open my eyes again, and Duke is looking back out the window.
I'm kind of protecting you too.
I stare at the back of his head.
Things are getting worse out there, and if we don't figure something out soon, we're all gonna die.
Duke's voice is dead and distant. Brian, though, touches my other arm and I gasp, shrinking away. He's smirking down at me, looking at my stomach or crotch, somewhere around there.
Brian, stop.
Duke has turned back around, looking over me at the bear.
We're not getting anywhere right now, and I gotta get back to the wolf.
Even though Duke is the one that hit me, I'm terrified of the thought of being left alone with Brian. Duke sees my face.
Don't worry, Chase. Even though you're lying to us, I don't plan letting this pervert have his way with you.
Brian snorts.
Brian knows what will happen if he does.
Duke gives Brian a cold, callous stare. This time Brian doesn't give his stupid grin back.
But you better hope your fuck buddy says something soon, because if not, we might have to get mean.
Duke heads out the door, turning to look over his shoulder.
Just feed him and make sure he doesn't escape. That's it.
And with that, Duke briskly disappears out the door, a gold flash of afternoon light lighting up the dim trailer. Oh yeah. Brian and I listen to the weasel's soft, anxious footsteps recede into the distance. As soon as the sound is gone, Brian stands up. I turn my head in time to see him whirl around and smash his fist into the wall. I jump as much as I can in my restraints before he does it again, this time slamming both of his fists against the wall.
Fucking faggot!
He screams so loudly my ears immediately start ringing. I think he's talking to me, so I brace myself for what I'm sure is going to be the worst moment of my life. But he stalks right past me, not even looking at me. Instead, he strides up to the kitchen counter. Once there, he picks up a dirty pan, then raises it over his head before bringing it down with a crash. I hear glass shatter before he does it again and again.
Goddamn cocksucking piece of shit!
He throws the pan across the room with a crash into the wall.
I'll fucking kill him! I'll fucking kill that fucking cunt!
I stare at him, my eyes wide as I watch him stamp his feet like a little kid. Then he slaps himself across the face twice. After that, he closes his hand into a fist and punches himself in the head repeatedly. It's with a force that would knock me out cold. It would be funny if it wasn't tied down to a contraption in a trailer belonging to Brian. Brian stumbles after what seems like the fifth blow and covers his face. His massive shoulders shake with sobs.
Thinks he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Thinks he can boss me around.
Brian whirls around and slams both his fists into the counter several more times. The sound of shifting glass accompanies it. It's the change pot.
Where was that?
There.
Well, it's now there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll kill him! Kill him! Kill him!
His voice crescends in pitch and volume before he finally slumps against the counter, head in his hands as he starts crying again. I breathe as quietly as I can, not want to draw any attention to myself.
I'll get him. I'll fucking get him. Won't control me no more.
Suddenly his quaking shoulders freeze. Slowly he turns around with a sinking heart. I realise he's looking right at me. His fur and his cheeks already matted before are now flat and shiny with wet. Snot runs down from his nose down to his upper lip. Then I see red dripping from his left fist. The fur on the right is matted with blood as well. He watches me for a while, then grins.
Am I funny to you?
I open my mouth, but nothing comes out. He suddenly strides right up to the end of my platform, standing between my spread legs. I feel numb. the fear taking up every fibre of my being. I feel nothing else.
You like seeing him make fun of me?
I try to speak again, but nothing comes out. I swallow. No. My lips tremble as my voice shakes. I've never stuttered so hard in my life.
You know what I'd do to you if I could?
Brian sneers down at me, the wet fur on his cheeks bristling out.
Oh, I swear to God, I'd fucking take your balls off right fucking now.
He rests his huge hand on my crotch and presses down. I cringe and wheeze. Please. Brian's grin only gets bigger as he rubs his crotch with his other hand and watches me wince.
Oh good, you already know how to beg.
He leans forward towards my face, moving his hand to clamp over my mouth.
And then I'd hang you for hours.
I stare at him, breathing hard through my nose, my tears streaming, leaking down the sides of my face. His hand slides down from my mouth to my neck and starts to squeeze.
Then I'd give you a little stool to stand on when you start to go out. Then I'd kick it away again.
I gasp and gag, both from the squeezing and from his reeking breath. He stares hard at me and I can feel his crotch grinding up against mine. He's hard. Then he blinks and slowly pulls back. He watches me gasp and sob for a while before reaching down again. I rightly turn my head away, letting out a moan of terror. But he doesn't grab my neck again. Instead he prods and teases the fur, checking the skin on my neck.
Better not bruise if that fucking asshole saw that. Oh, cocksucker, sorry.
His expression darkens again.
Do you fucking tell Duke about...
He raises a fist and I cringe. No, I won't, I swear. I turn my head away, eyeing his raised fist. He holds it there a while, watching me. He seems to be calculating something, like he's wondering if he can get away with what he's about to do. Then he seems to make up his mind. With that, he slams his fist down right into the centre of my torso, just below the ribs. My vision flashes and I hear a rasping, droning wheeze, and I realise it's coming from my mouth. It goes on and on until there's no air left in me. Then I can't breathe in again. My vision goes black and I suffocate, writhing against the restraints, wanting to curl up into a little ball and disappear. It feels like hours, days for I finally get a sip of air. My mouth gapes as I try and suck it in faster. Brian is standing over me and I'm somehow surprised he's got that worried look in his face. Before he thinks he's killed me. Then my stomach starts to turn and lurch. Before I even realise I'm about to puke, a gush of vomit fills my mouth and I start to choke. Brian hurries to my side, and I'm giving a second heave mixed with gag. He tips the platform over sideways. His huge paw pushes my face to the side and look at the ground and watch as it spills to the ugly shag carpet. When I finish, Brian slowly tilts the table back up, looking at me with disgust. At this point I'm too tired to cry. Instead I lay there in a daze, occasionally hacking or coughing. Brian goes to the kitchen, rustling around a while before returning with water and paper towels. He wipes my face and nose before tilting my head up to drink the water. He holds the mug there until I do as he says, then gets down on his knees. I watch his head bob up and down as he busies himself with a mess on the floor, muttering about Duke finding out. I'm too numb to really care right now, though. Right now I'm starting to realise that I may not survive this. Brian calms down pretty quick after his tantrum. Once he cleans up the mess, he splays out on the couch and starts watching TV. Some kind of cartoon about a pink cat, and he actually laughs along with the juvenile jokes. While this goes on, I lay quietly against my platform, trying not to start crying again. My mind keeps wandering back to just hours ago, how everything seemed fine for the most part. I keep wishing I could go back to the beginning of this week, thinking about how that makes me sentimental, and I'm longing to see Leo, TJ, Carl, Jen, and even Flynn again. Where are they all right now? Duke said that things were bad out there. Are they all in some sort of trouble? If that's the case, the cops should be here by now. Someone would have gotten word out, wouldn't they? If people were murdering each other like what happened to Janice, there's no way that wouldn't be the case. Brian lets out another explosive laugh, wiggling his feet on the armrest of the couch. Earlier he tried to feed me some dried cereal, but it was like cardboard in my mouth, and only after a handful I couldn't eat anymore. I'm just thankful that he's preoccupied with something else right now. There's a soft knock at the door and Brian jumps, quickly changing the channel to golf before he gets up and lumbers over to the door. He pauses, then rifles through some magazines on the table next to the couch. He pulls out a handgun and looks cartoonishly small in his hands before making his way to the door. I weakly turn my head in his direction and watch Brian open the door in a crack. He chuckles. Brian pushes the door open a bit more and I catch sight of a skinny, malnourished polecat. Clinton's looking up at Brian, appearing even more dishevelled than usual. Clinton has stepped up onto the first step and looked into the trailer, immediately spotting me. He stares, the shock in his face almost comical. Brian just turns to see what he's looking at as if he'd forgotten I was even there. He gives a start before shoving Clint back out the door. Clint's now out of my line of sight, but I can hear him shuffling around in the dead vegetation. There's a moment of silence as Brian seems to contemplate that. Clint starts to whine again, but Brian swings the door shut with a bang. Brian walks back into the room, looking down at me, then back at the TV. He mumbles before sitting back down and switching the channel back to the cartoon. I stare up at my reflection. Even from here I can see that my eyes are bloodshot, the fur on my face matted. There are dark spots on my shirt too, and distantly wonder if Brian had broken ribs when he punctured me. Punched me. Then I remember that his hand had been bleeding when he did that. I feel strange right now. Numb. Kind of feels good after the whirlwind of emotions I'd had earlier. Still haven't caught up to everything that's happened since I was in that diner. Would I even be able to? Would I have time if Brian had planned to? A tinge of panic pierces through the fog of dissociation. I clench my eyes shut, screwing up my face and trying not to start crying again. Brian snorts again at something on the TV. I open my eyes to the distraught otter lying on the wooden torture contraption. Why is there a mirror on your ceiling? I surprise myself a little by asking the question. Apparently I really don't give a fuck at this point. I see Brian look over at me from his peripheral vision. I shrug the best I can, continuing to stare passively up at the ceiling. The movement sends electric tingles through my arms, which are completely numb at this point. Brian shifts around the couch as he tries to get a better look at me. I stare up at the mirror, my expression still blank. Fear. That's what Brian likes. Brian shifts to a sitting position, no more interested in the conversation in his cartoons. I realise now I've probably made a mistake. I keep my face blank, staring at myself. I don't say anything. Brian gets up anyway and comes around to stand over me above my head, blocking my view of the mirror. His reeking stench fills my nostrils, but still I try not to give him the satisfaction of seeing how afraid I am starting to become. His massive hands reach around my head and I start to fiddle with something I can't see. With one quick motion the strap comes back down over my neck and my eyes widen. I grit my teeth and try to press my head as hard as I can into the platform behind my head to lessen the strain. It's not a lot of pressure, but it's enough to make me want to gag. Brian chuckles again. Brian leans back, revealing a terror-stricken otter on the ceiling, his eyes bulging, teeth bared. Leather squeaks a little as he pulls it down tighter. I start to writhe at this point and see my tongue sticking out, my face a mask of horror. Brian comes back into my vision, his expression different. He's really searching my face now like he's looking for something. Finally, with some final squeak of leather, Brian lets go and I gasp hungrily for air. Brian pets my head while I cough, inhaling shakily. He moves away again and slumps back onto the couch, pulling at his crotch. I chose not to stare at the choking otter on the ceiling and instead look out the window, feeling fresh tears roll down my face. Not sure it's from the choking or the black hole in my chest. I watch the leaves rustling around in the wind and think about where the others are, why no one's come to help me. Finally, I turn my head back to the ceiling. The blank expression has returned. Brian continues to chuckle at his cartoons, and despite myself, I ask another question. Have you ever killed someone? The first time Brian ignores me. I don't say anything for the rest of the day. I stare into the darkness, only a faint source of light coming from the moonlit leaves through the window. It's been less than 24 hours since I've been kidnapped. Still, it makes no sense that someone hasn't found me. Is what Duke said about the town true? I wonder what Leo's doing right now. If he's going through and what he's going through is just as bad. I doubt it is. At least Duke seems slightly less unhinged. I give a soft, trembling sigh, my head still throbbing from the day's events. The thunderous snoring from Brian is literally shaking the platform I'm on, and though I've drifted off a few times, I can't sleep. He's right next to me, his stained couch apparently doubling as his bed. I shift around to the contraption for it feels like 100th time, trying to get comfortable, when I feel something. There's more give in my right arm than I remember. In fact, it's incredibly loose. I pause and experimentally wriggle my arm around before easily pulling my hand out of the restraint. I freeze, disbelieving, not wanting to believe in case it isn't true somehow. Painfully I crane my neck to look at my right arm. Though it's dark, I can see my right arm is clearly free, my elbow on the board, hand in the air. I swallow hard, listen to Brian's snores again to make sure he's actually asleep. I tried to keep my breathing even, not wanting to make any more sound than I need to, but I'm almost sobbing with relief at this point. Now I'm able to partially sit up and make short work of the left arm restraint. Fully sitting up now, I do away with the final two ankle restraints and slide off the table quietly. Brian is still snoring at full volume and it covers up what little sound I make. Making my way over to the messy floor, I found the steps and trying to stumble down them to open the door. Incredibly, there's no squeaking or rattling as I do, and before I know it, I'm outside in the cool air. I run through the woods and onto the road, sobbing with joy now to see Leo's house. The lights are on and I'm running towards it. I think I can see Carl's horns through the window. I run up to the steps into the porch and bang on the door. Leo, Carl, I got out, open the door. I try and open the handle open, swinging inward to blackness. I stare, trying to comprehend. You really fell for that? I hear my own voice, but it isn't me that just said it. Said it's a higher pitch, like I'm hearing it from a video recording rather than my own throat. Then I'm sucked into blackness and slammed hard back down onto the wooden platform. All at once I realise what happened. My heart feels like it dropped into my chest. Of course, a dream. I'm back in the hot, stifling trailer. It looks even darker than it did in my dream. I close my eyes and start to cry quietly. Feels like I've just found out that I'm locked up in a psycho's trailer all over again. I turn my head and look out the window above Brian, longing for some daylight. Then I see two white eyes sit against the black face staring back at me. I jump. What the fuck? Am I still dreaming? Then I see these two beige-coloured ears above the head. Kutsu? I gasp again, quieter. I'm overcome with relief once again, but the fear that I'm dreaming is almost overpowering it. I wave my left hand as much as I can, but I'm not sure he can see it. I realise that none of the light above the window is falling on me. Kutsu moves to the side, then back again, squinting clearly, trying to see inside. I think about making a noise, calling out his name, but I have no idea how deep of a sleeper Brian is. As if on cue, Brian gives a louder snore and rolls over. Kutsu seems to have heard it, his big ears perking before he ducks down. My heart hurts just losing sight of him and I strain against my bonds. Brian seems to be waking up though, mumbling something in his sleep. I pull with my right arm again, in case my dream had been onto something. It doesn't budge. Brian's really started to kick around now, his massive form rolling over onto his stomach, rubbing his face into the pillow. He starts to make loud gasping sounds and he gets to his knees in the bed. He holds his hands up, snarling. I stare at him, almost forgetting about Katsu. His eyes are open, they snap to me, his hand's still out. His face is etched with horror, eyes wide and white in the darkness. He backs up against the back of the couch as he continues to stare. I stare back at him, unsure what he's going to do. After about 10 seconds, his expression starts to melt from horror to confusion. I continue to stare back, bracing for another explosion from him, for whatever reason. His shoulders droop again and he frowns at me. My mouth is dry, so I have to swallow a few times before I can answer. Who? Brian doesn't respond and starts to look around the trailer. I see Katsu starting to poke his head up again. At this point, I've made up my mind that I want to escape tonight. I'm not going to spend another minute with this maniac. Making a decision that could mean life or death so suddenly is terrifying and exhilarating. I don't give myself time to think about it. Brian? He doesn't answer, starting to get up and look around. Brian, I have to go to the bathroom. Brian sighs as he flips on the light. Katsu drops out of view again. Brian heaves a huge sigh before turning to the counter. He reaches for a pan and dumps out some murky water into the sink. I wrinkle my nose. He shrugs at me. No, I have to use your toilet. My stomach is really bad right now. Brian turns and really looks at me. I shift on the platform. No, I think I have diarrhea. Brian pulls a look of extreme disgust, which is the kind of funny for someone who apparently never showers. He glares at me, like it's my fault that I might be sick. I look around a while, then back down at the pan. The bear seems to quickly disregard that idea and sets it back on the counter. He comes over next to me and starts to undo the restraints. No, I promise, I just really need to go. Brian grumbles as he starts to roughly undo my restraints. I take care not to look at his crotch as if pressed uncomfortably close to my face. As he pulls my right arm out, I gasp in shock and pain. It feels like a million needles are poking through as he pushes my arm down next to my body. Wait, fuck! Brian pauses as he watches me grimace in pain. I worry he's getting off on it. At that moment, though, there's some rustling next to the window and I try to groan over it. Oh, fuck. The bear looks at me bewildered and annoyed. Now my dream seems even more ridiculous that I'd been able to so easily able to run off. Everything's fallen asleep, just take it slower. Brian sighs even louder and gets to work on my left arm anyway. This time he doesn't yank my arm out though, just lets it slowly move it on my own. It's not nearly as bad as my right arm, which is still violently tingling, but I have to grip my teeth as I move it to my chest. Luckily my legs are fine and I'm able to move them easier after Brian takes them out. Makes me worry about what I'm going to try since I'm not nearly as strong as I should be. Brian is clearly on guard as he helps me sit up from the contraption, keeping his distance as he holds onto my arm. I sit there for a moment, letting the circulation return back into my limbs and I try not to fall over from dizziness. Brian finally gives a growl of annoyance and pulls me off the wooden platform. I realise it's the moment I have to make my move. There's nothing nearby for me to grab, so instead I swing with everything I have to smash my fist up against the side of Brian's face. Something cracks in my hand and pain runs up my arm. I gasp and cringe and Brian grunts. Brian pauses and slowly brings his hand up to feel the side of his face. I guess I thought to be able to knock him down with one punch. But doing that as an offer to a bear, especially with a bear like Brian, would be quite the feat. Brian does seem stunned though, and that's all I needed to take the huge breath and scream as loud as I can. Katsu! Brian whirls on me, swinging his fist along with him. I duck immediately, cowering with my head with one arm, the other still locked in Brian's grasp. He only partially misses, his fist catching the top of my head and my arm. It knocks me to the ground and I sit there in a daze. I don't have long to collect myself because Brian is pulling a foot back to kick me. I roll to the side and start trying to back away while I'm crouched, but Brian yanks me up by my arm, my head jerking back with the force. Now I'm starting to wonder if Katsu ended up leaving. And if that's the case, I'm definitely dead because there's no way I'm going to break his grasp. So I'm thinking this, the door bangs open. Brian is in the middle of drawing his fist back when it happens and he freezes looking over at the door. Katsu stands there, his eyes wide behind his black mask, chest heaving. He's scared, I can tell, but Brian's shock gives me the opening I was looking for. I reach in between his leg and grab his balls. Weirdly enough, the first thought I have is about how fucking big it is. It takes both my hands to wrap around it fully, and when I do, a twist and yank down as hard as I can. I pour all of my fear and anger into the attack, and snarling as I do. The scream that Brian lets out is so high-pitched it feels like every glass in the trailer is going to explode. This attack is all I have left, so when his retaliation comes, I don't do anything to defend myself. Luckily, it's not a punch or a kick, but rather he grabs the fur on the back of my head along with my shirt and tries to pulling me back. My face stretches back as I stubbornly hold on and just yank down even harder. His sack is stretched and distorted so badly it's barely even recognizable as balls. His screaming suddenly cuts off with a sound of deep, sickening smack. Immediately, Brian's body crumbles onto me and falls onto his hands and knees. It happens in a way that he's sprayed over me, his face inches from mine. I have time to smell his gag-inducing breath before the sound happens again. This time I see Kudzu swinging something down his hard from overhead and Brian's head jolts. I watch his eyes lose their focus on me and he slumps down. I turn my head sideways as he comes to rest on my body, crushing the air from my lungs. Kudzu is there immediately and pushes Brian's body aside to the point of being able to pull me out. He pulls me up to the sitting position next to him. He's shaking and I can hear his ragged breath in my ear. The contrast between being engulfed in Brian's stench and smelling Kudzu's shampooed fur and peppermint breath is striking. I can't speak and instead I lean in against Kudzu and wrap my arms around him as I sob. Kudzu holds me as he looks me over. I nod silently as I press my face into his fur on his shoulder. He stands up slowly, keeping me in the embrace as he glides me towards the door. I don't remember how much the walk back to Kudzu's house is out in stilted flashes of dirt and sagebrush. It's dark and hot and my shirt immediately starts to stick to my sweaty fur. My legs are so numb I don't even know how I'm moving them right now. Kudzu has to hold on to me the entire way so I don't fall over. Crickets chirp all around us, but every few minutes I hear shouting and screams in the distance. I try to look over my shoulder to see if Brian's coming after us, but Kudzu grunts and tells me to keep watching my steps. Some circulation has returned to my legs, and I'm at least able to match Kudzu's stride over the uneven dirt road. Still, it feels like 1,000 needles are stabbing up my feet and legs in waves with every step I take. I'm genuinely afraid I'm going to wake up any second and find myself still stuck in Brian's trailer. None of this seems real. Still, I'm watching my feet and ground so I don't notice Kudzu's house until I almost kick the bottom step of his rusty trailer. Just the sight of the trailer is sending chills up my spine, even though Brian's trailer looks very different compared to Kudzu's. We stand in front of his door for a while as the raccoon fishes through his pockets for keys. This is made extra difficult with me hanging on to him. I can stand on my own if you... Kudzu whips out a small gold-coloured key before sliding into the lock. Once we're inside, Kudzu immediately kicks the door closed behind us, before reaching back to turn the deadlock. The inside of Kudzu's trailer is the opposite from the exterior. It's brightly lit and tidy, nothing like Brian's place. It's a little cramped as any trailer would be, but the furniture is arranged neatly and the kitchen is spotless. Everything looks way newer than the trailer on the outside. I imagine the raccoon did a lot of work to get it to look like this. Kudzu quickly guides me to a small love seat and makes it for me to lay down. I put a hand against his chest, feeling my stomach turn. Wait, I think I'd rather sit up. Kudzu's looking into my eyes with his dark browns, the brows above them furrowed in deep concern. I nod slowly, so as not to upset my stomach again. Just water, please. Kudzu quickly hurries off to the kitchen and I slowly lean into the cushions behind me. I'm not tired at all, but I feel numb, and not just physically. My arms throb and I feel like the leather straps are still bound around my wrists. It even feels like they're being pulled by an invisible force. Like if I relax, my arms would float back up to their fixed position. I shudder, hugging my body, and then look around, trying to find something else to focus on. A gripping of 3 picture frames and the small side table next to the love seat catches my attention. From where I'm sitting, I see Kudzu and one of them beaming at the camera. It's actually kind of weird to see him smiling like that. There's an arm around his neck and I start to lean over a bit to see who it is. Kudzu appears in front of me again, holding a glass of water. I straighten back up against the cushions. Once I take the glass, he holds it out of a hand with 2 white pills resting on the back pad of his palm. I definitely am, so I take it in the glass without a word and swallow it down. For a second my stomach sours and I feel like it's going to come back up, but only for a second. Katsu steps back and watches me. Even though the face maintains a stoic, almost glare, I see his hands fidgeting together in front of his stomach. I nod weakly at the recliner across from me. You want to sit or something? Katsu seems to consider, then walks over to the recliner. He sits on the very edge of the cushion, back ridged, continuing to stare at me. I take another sip of water this time, less this time, so not to upset my stomach. It looks like he wants to say something, but keeps silent, lips pressed together. Katsu watches me the whole time. What's wrong? Katsu opens his mouth and closes it, thinking before opening it again. Yeah, sort of. I mean, I'm not gonna die, I think. Not really sure if I am completely okay. Everything still feels numb. My thoughts feel sluggish too. Something that's been nagging at my back of my mind since I got here suddenly bubbles up to the surface. Did you call the police? I absentmindedly reach for my phone in my pocket, but it's not there. I have no idea where it is at this point. Is it still at Leo's? There's a tight look of consternation on Katsu's face. My foggy brain tries to process this. What? Why? Did the phones break or something? Katsu shakes his head. Should we walk to my car or something and drive to Peyton? I look back out at the pitch black window. We need to tell someone right now. Janice and Leo's still out there. There's no way Janice hasn't been found by now. There should be police everywhere. Where are the cops? I turn back to Katsu, feeling sick again. Katsu doesn't say anything. He's got a strange look in his face like he's trying to figure out how to tell me something. Finally, he stands up. I frown. But we need to get someone out here. What if Brian comes after me? I shrink in on myself at the thought, feeling goosebumps erupt over my arms. Katsu steps close to me and awkwardly reaches out to put his hand on my shoulder. I don't say anything, my head is still trying to catch up. Katsu adds as if that makes the offer more tempting. He thinks. I shake my head. What? No, I want to get the fuck out of here. A loud pulse makes me jump and I stand up. I'm not sure what I'm about to do, but Katsu reaches out gently to hold on to me before pulling me away from the windows. I can hear some shouting outside, but it's far away. What was that? Is someone shouting? Someone shouting? Someone shooting? Look at Katsu, starting to feel desperate. He puts an arm around me, at the same time moving towards the end of the trailer where the big bed is tucked in. I hold on to the raccoon, unsure of what to do. He holds me by both arms and I look back at him. He pauses. Here right now? I thought of laying down as tempting despite feeling like I'm going insane. If I sleep I don't have to think, just blank my mind and rest. My head is buzzing and I feel like I'm laying down might straighten things out. Katsu gently but firmly forces me to sit down on the bed. Despite his slender build I can feel his strength in his lean muscles. But what about Brian and Duke? Katsu slowly pushes me back down the bed, the water underneath the surface sloshing faintly. I haven't been on an actual waterbed in years. Carl used to have one. Where is Carl? Where is everyone? I want to go back to the motel and find my friends again, but Katsu seems adamant in keeping me here. He must be able to tell from the look on my face that I'm not at ease because he reaches out again to rest his hand on my chest. It's still slightly awkward, but it's comforting at least. It does make me feel better, at least well enough to maybe get some sleep. Okay. I stare at the ceiling as I lay back. I still feel numb, but in a way that helps me blank my mind. It feels like less than a minute I pass out. I feel like if I keep walking along the train tracks, I'll be able to find my way out of here. I make sure to walk in the middle, using the planks like stepping stones. The steel rails on the other side of it feel like that's some sort of barrier, a protection to whatever that's out there. I feel a presence in front of me, though a sort of pressure that builds as I continue to walk. Looking up, I can see that it's coming from the weird grove of trees that bunch up in the train yard. Something is crouched in front of that grove, staring at me from the trees. I keep walking though, because for some reason I don't feel like I have anything to worry about as long as I stay in the tracks. I notice something behind the hunched figure. A few bulky objects hanging from the trees. I know what they are before I can make them out. I keep staring at them as I draw closer, ignoring the thing that's watching me. As I do, hearing it breathe as I pass it. Now I can see there are several bodies hanging from the trees. They're all shapes and species. Some hang by their necks, others by wrists or ankles. One of them passes me with a few feet, and I notice he doesn't have legs, both of them cut off at the thigh. It's a wolf, and he dangles there by one of the stumps. Blood stains the dusty cream-covered pants and shirt all the way up to his face. As I pass him, he slowly turns in the rope as if he's following my progress. I look down at the corpse's face, the mouth hanging open, eyes wide. It's like he wants to tell me something important. I can feel my body again, but it's numb and heavy. Slowly I open my eyes and see the beige ceiling of Kudzu's trailer. I flick my eyes to the right and see Kudzu's there, but only on his back. But only his back. He seems frozen, like he's in a photo. He's not even breathing. I can't see the window very well from here, but from the small corner I see eyes. When I wake up, Kudzu is next to me in the bed. His back to me. One of his ears folded under his head. Having been with Leo for a few years, I know that this can be pretty painful when you wake up. So I reach out and try to slowly adjust Kudzu's ear from under his head, but then he immediately wakes up. He makes a funny snorting sound before suddenly jerking up halfway off the bed, looking back at me. I smile sheepishly. Sorry, I was just trying to fix your ear. Kudzu reaches up, poking at the ear. I notice on the bedside table there's a small plate of what looks like a blueberry muffin on it. Kudzu notices and reaches out for it. He lowers his ears. My stomach is settled for the best part, so I take the plate from him. Thanks. It's still dark outside, from what I can see. Did we sleep through the whole day? I realise that I've completely lost track of time. What time is it? Kudzu reaches over to the bedside clock, grabbing his phone. I rub my face. Did we sleep through the day or something? Really? I feel like it's been days since what happened to Brian's trailer. Kudzu turns nimbly on his rear on the bed, facing me with his legs crossed. I'm okay. Kudzu gives me a long, hard look. Again, his expression of wanting to say something, but he's holding back. What is it? Kudzu lets out a breath. Talking about Brian is the last thing I want to do after I feel the threat of violent, and I can feel the threat of violent shivers coming up my spine just thinking about him. Kudzu reaches out one of his black hands to rub my shoulder. Awkward and comforting as always. Kudzu catches himself. I don't think I've ever seen Kudzu stumble over his words like this. Kudzu trails off, seemingly stunned at his own lack of delicacy. The first time since I left the trailer, I feel a little bit like laughing. I reach up to rub Kudzu's own arm, feeling like I need to comfort him now. No, it's fine, man. He didn't do anything like that. At least, not how you think he would. Katsu watches me. I know he's not going to ask, so I go on. He has a thing for asphyxiation, I guess. Katsu's eyes immediately go to my neck. I'm fine, it was just creepy. Creepy definitely doesn't begin to describe it, but I don't think there's I think now's the time to go into details. Look out the window again, aside from a few orange dots of light on the faraway lamppost, it's black. So, can you tell me what's going on now? Katsu runs his hand through his head for sighing heavily and looking out the window with me. I really don't think I'm going to be able to fall asleep again, honestly. Katsu continued to stare at the window, and that's when I finally start to wonder what it was that I'd missed. Katsu looks at me. My mind flashes back to when I saw TJ running past the diner. I hadn't had the time to really figure out what he was doing before Duke barged in. He talked to you? Where is he? I feel the fur prickling up all over my body. I thought that TJ might be out there somewhere and that all this chaos is terrifying. How could someone like him survive that? I'm certainly doing a terrible job. Up the road? There's nothing past Katsu's trailer outside of Carl's house, and that's over a mile away. But Carl doesn't have a car anymore. Maybe he's just staying with a ram. I hope that's the case. Katsu shakes his head. Yeah? Taylor's the only otter in town now that my family has left. Is that out of the ordinary for Dale? I want to get back on the topic of TJ. If we went up the road away from the town, we could still find him. Oh. What kind of meeting? Katsu rubs the back of his neck, ears lowering. Obviously I knew some... Oh, sorry. Katsu looks back at me. Jeremy's house? That was Jenna's house. This whole thing's just getting bigger and bigger. Well, I've been in Brian's trailer, everything had been falling apart outside. But why? What's going on? Katsu shakes his head. Who? Our turn? What does that mean? Katsu shakes his head again. Ready? Tell us what to do? Is that all they told you? Katsu pauses. What? Katsu stops talking. I stare. Like a dead body? Katsu swallows and nods. What is going on? People voice rise in pitch and Katsu puts his hands as if he's trying to quiet me down. I stare at Katsu. Like a serial killer or something? Well, they're lying, right? Katsu's quiet for a moment, then shakes his head. Well, I think trying to figure out what the hell we're going to do. Well, I need to find Leo at least. Katsu nods like he's already thought about that. Then maybe get my car and at least try and leave. Katsu doesn't say anything to that. But if we can't leave for whatever reasons, then at least we have to find the rest of my friends. I look at Katsu. Well, I do know what you're going to... I do know what you're going to be... Katsu gives me a wry smile. I feel a warm rush of relief flow over me, knowing Katsu will be with me. I don't think I'll be able to do any of this alone. So, we're gonna go and get Leo? Katsu nods. Of course I'd rather stay here and hide until Katsu comes back, but Leo tried to save me back at the diner, risking his life to do it. After everything Leo has done for me, I owe him too. No, I'm gonna go with you. Katsu shakes his head. Katsu shifts, looking towards the kitchen. He was my boyfriend. I can't just sit here while you save him. Katsu pauses. Yeah, well, Leo not wanting me to do something never stopped me before. Getting to fight like this made me feel better. Gives me purpose again. Katsu looks like he's about to shake his head again, but I continue. Besides, it might help things. One of us could go in while they let distract Duke or something. Katsu looks unsure, but I press my advantage. And if something goes wrong, one of us would be there to help the other. Katsu pulls another of his whiskers. He might not even be there. He might be at Brian's trailer or somewhere else around town. Katsu sighs, then looks me right in the eyes. I'm not, but I nod anyway. Sunday. Alright, okay. Alright, okay. Alright. Oh, it's alright. If you're done, we'll wind up there. We'll wind up with Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Don't worry about that. What I might do then is I might just do some other horror games, if that's alright. Yeah, because I've got a couple I've got still to do. So what I'll do is I will restart the stream anyway, and I'll at least do one, and I'll see where I go from there, because there was some I didn't do last week, because my head was kind of bad.
Can you take 15 minutes to throw some food in the microwave for me?
Yeah, that's fine. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 15 minutes, because I'm going to sort Meow some food, and then I'll be back. So in about 15-20 minutes I'll be back with some more indie horror. Apart from that, our next streams will be tomorrow night, should be Deep Rock, and with Tom, Zeph, and Meow. Afterwards will be some more indie horror. Then Thursday, more indie horror. Friday should be Distrust with Tom and Zeph, and then hopefully some more Suns, and then Sunday will be Dark Tide. Again, there'll be Halloween episodes, just whenever they are booked this week. They will happen ad hoc. So yeah, but no problem, hun. As I said, sleep is definitely important, especially when you work the crazy kind of job you do. So, that's alright. Alright, so we'll wind up Echo there. I'll see you folks in about 15-20 minutes. Until then, you all take care, and catch you then. Good night.